Hey everyone, it's Katie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my Q1 wrap-up. So these will be the books that I read during January, February, and March of this year. I got off to a little bit of a slow start because I started the year in the middle of the Throne of Glass series. So I finished Aerie, I think, on December 31st. So I started the year with Queen of Shadows and then continued on with the series from there. So that equals about 3,000 pages that I started the year off reading. So it might not seem like I've read too many books now. I think I'm making up time, or at least I'm trying to make up time now. But yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. This is the greatest series I've ever read. So I definitely do not regret starting my year with these characters and in this world. But it did slow me down on my goal a little bit. So I won't talk too much about the plots of the first 4 books that I've read this year because they are the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th books in a series. But I will say this book, I rated 5 stars. I think this is when I really fell in love with the series and the characters. I just remember this book feeling really powerful to me and I really loved it. Next up, I did a tandem read of Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, but I did finish this one I think a day before Tower of Dawn, so I'll talk about this one next. Though I would absolutely recommend the tandem read, I don't think you should read it any other way, to be honest. I know people have their things with Assassin's Blade and when to read that. That's more up to your own preference, I feel like, but I really don't see any other way to read these 2 books other than the tandem read. So Empire of Storms, another 5 stars for me. When I read this book, this took over as my new favorite in the series. It kicked Queen of Shadows right out of that top spot because one of the plot lines in this book, it follows 2 to 4 plot lines that all converge at the end. But my favorite plot line throughout the whole series was Elide and Lorcan, and this is them on their little quest together to find Aelin, each for their own reasons, and their story was just my favorite. I rated this book 5 stars. Next up is Tower of Dawn. I rated this book 4 stars. It really was not going to be a 4-star book until the end. It was probably leaning more towards a 3-star, but that's just how Sarah J. Maas is. She really gets you at the end, and it's always a great ending. So I just think most of the action and kind of the 2 main characters of this story finding their own happiness was really lovely to read. Bumped it up to a 4-star for me. Overall, I think it was a little less action-packed than Empire of Storms, and I felt less connected to the characters overall, but still a really good book, and that's why I think the tandem read is the way to go, because I think most people who read this series are more connected to our main character, Aelin. Obviously, she's the main character. I felt most connected to Elide and Lorcan. As I've said, they were my favorite plotline, but I think most people feel more connected to the characters in Empire of Storms. So I think that's a good way to read these 2 is together. They are happening at the same time as well. That's why people tandem read them. But this book only follows Nesryn and Chaol, where the other book follows basically the rest of all the characters that we love in the series so far. Okay, and last up for this series, I have, obviously, if you know the series, Kingdom of Ash. This is genuinely the greatest book I've ever read. This was a 5-star book for me, obviously. It's the first one that, you always hear people be like, this is not even a 5-star book, this is 6 stars for me. I don't know, I loved ACOTAR, for example, was 5 stars for me. A Court of Mist and Fury was 5 stars for me. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, loved that book so much, but I never really was I wish I could rate this 6 stars on Goodreads until this book. This was the first book I ever felt that, and I see why everyone says it is the best book ever, and it's Sarah J. Maas's best work. I just think it was a near perfect ending, minus 1 death that I could have gone without, and I think the plot could have gone without. But yeah, I just think you should read this series if you haven't. And it was a perfect way to start off my reading year, although it, like I said, set me back a little. That's okay, it was totally worth it, and I am probably going to reread it at some point. Maybe if I hit my reading goal early this year, I'll treat myself to a reread of it where I can annotate and have a new experience with it where I know what's going to happen, so I can pay attention to the small details a little more. So my first book out of the Throne of Glass world, I knew I wanted it to be a fantasy. I was thinking Fourth Wing because, like I said, I wanted fantasy, but I also had my Kindle Unlimited free trial because I got a Kindle for Christmas, so I kind of wasted that free trial for all of it except 1 week because I made myself, like, I would make myself read like 50 pages a day, so I would finish Throne of Glass before my Kindle Unlimited trial was up because I wanted to like try it and see if I felt like it was worth it for me, which sucked to, you know, speed through the ending of it, but you know, I probably would have anyway. Like the ends of her books are just like flipping through the pages because you can't get enough. But anyway, I knew I wanted a fantasy and I was looking on Kindle Unlimited because I had a free trial that was about to expire in a week. And I was thinking Fourth Wing, but that felt like maybe too much of a commitment for me because there are 2 other books in it, and I think one wasn't on Kindle Unlimited, and I don't know. I will read that at some point. I know I'll probably love it, but I went with Quicksilver by Callie Hart instead. So the plot of this book is that there's this girl, she's in this impoverished ward in her town that is ruled by an evil immortal queen. She ends up committing a crime and getting caught and brought to the queen's palace, and she's taken into this room and this sword is calling to her, and so she ends up fighting this guard and pulls out the sword, and then basically as she's on the brink of death because of this fight with the guard, this man steps out of this pool of silver, Quicksilver, and saves her and takes her to his world. So it turns out he is Fae, and she's now in the Fae realm, and they are in the midst of a war themselves. I think a lot of people compare this book to ACOTAR, specifically I think A Court of Mist and Fury in the later books, because it is kind of a, I don't know if grumpy is even the right word, but like, you know, kind of a Rhysand type where he's teaching her, she's learning how to use this Quicksilver because she's one of the only people who can actually use it. Basically her helping them out will turn the tide of this war. So the two end up kind of forming a connection, and there is a second book coming out, I think in September. So I only rated this one 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I think anything was, you know, not gonna be my favorite book coming off of Throne of Glass. It is what it is. I am still looking forward to reading the second book, Brimstone, when it comes out. And the 6th and final book that I read in the first quarter of the year is Satan's Affair by H.D. Carlton. I rated this book 2 stars. This was my first step into dark romance. I've never really read anything like it before, and I know the Haunting Adeline series is pretty popular. I'm reading Haunting Adeline now, and I do like it a lot better than I liked Satan's Affair. Basically, Satan's Affair is about this traveling carnival, like a traveling haunted fair type of thing. So there's a haunted house, and in this haunted house is a girl named Sibby. She had a rough upbringing and now can smell evil in the world and smell demons and just people who have done bad things. So she has taken it upon herself to rid the world of these people when they come through her haunted house. It's very gory, which is not like, I'm not that sensitive to that type of stuff, but I just think it was a little overkill for me, no pun intended. And so normally when I rate a book below a 3 that's in a series, I will not continue the series, but I figured, I think Haunting Adeline is pretty different from Satan's Affair, and this was just like a tie-in to a scene that happens in Haunting Adeline. So like I said, I'm rating it now, I'm giving it a try, and I definitely am enjoying it more. I just don't think I'm that much of a dark romance girly. It's a little strange for me, but as of right now, I do plan to continue the rest of the series. So that's it for my reading wrap up of January through March. I know it's a little short, and hopefully I'm catching back up now. And the next quarter of the year, I will be able to tell you about a lot more books that I've read, hopefully get a little bit closer to my goal of 30 books for the year. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them, what you rated them. And if you feel like it, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.